G'day, welcome back. This is the next video in my series when I look at chess software. And a bit unusual, this video is not really about software itself, but it's like sort of some process or tools you're using when you're analyzing chess games and positions and studies and so on. At its core, you can see from the thumbnail, what I'm trying to do is I use Scid versus PC a lot, and you can see that percent draw full, percent draw arrow and so on. Scid versus PC has a specific way of recording annotations in the PGN file, and I want to be able to use that with other chess applications, in particular lichess, but it could also be, for instance, chess-based if you're using that. And you can see the chess-based notation is %CSL, which is a square, colored square, and %CAL, which is a colored arrow. And you can see a slightly different way of representing the colors in the squares, which we'll go into. And I thought it would be good to be able to translate one to the other. In particular, I've been looking at corresponding squares, just to bring that up with corresponding squares like that, and I'd like to be able to represent that in some form, maybe not so much in lichess itself, but to share it. So if somebody else is running Scid versus PC on their own machine, they'd be able to have something similar. Now, the colored squares themselves is something I packed around with in Scid versus PC. It will only work on Linux, and it's terribly clunky. So I noticed the new version of Scid that you have colored numbers, which is like 99% of the way there. So the objective today, in a sense, is to be able to share a PGN file, which has these annotations, share it through a lichess study, and then if another person wanted to download it and run their own Scid, I've got a particular use case for this. I've probably done about 40 videos on corresponding squares, which probably means I've done about 50 studies, which fits nicely in a lichess study. So if I wanted to share that, of course, I could use a Google Drive or something like that. But I mean, lichess is just absolutely the natural way of doing that. And maybe with the simpler studies, I can just use colored squares and I can sort of code. So what I'm going to do today is just sort of, you can see the outline there. I'm going to talk about the way lichess handles it, which is actually using the sort of PGN standard, which is basically seems to be like chess-based standard. They came up with the %CSL and the %CAL way of doing it. And then I'm going to show you the way Scid versus PC do it. And then later on, we're going to get into this concept of using some tools in Unix and PowerShell to sort of convert one through the other, so that I can post a study on lichess and other people can use that effectively if they're running Scid. I think lichess and Scid work quite closely together because lichess and Scid work well together. I mean, lichess, you play online, lots of studies, lots of tutorials, lots of learning, all that sort of stuff. But on the other hand, if you're using Scid, and you can have huge databases and look at different selections and all that sort of stuff and keep it all on your sort of your own PC. So it's like sort of two sides of the same coin. Okay, so let me switch over to the capture screen I've got here for lichess. Just showing, for example, what it looks like. So lichess, you can do red, green, blue, and yellow squares, but they're actually circles. And then you can do the colored lines. Now you'll notice that nothing shows in the PGN over here. The annotation doesn't show, but it is there. And where we can prove it is, let's go to share, copy PGN, and then just for purposes, we will paste that in there. So you can see what it does. The colored squares, the first letter is a very, very compact format, which is obviously the way it was. So first of all, you can do a list all at once rather than saying colored square, colored square, colored switch. So colored square and have a list. First character is the color, and the next characters are the square, separated by commas. Quite straightforward. And the arrow is the same thing. Let's have a look: green, red, yellow, and blue. And the arrows, same thing, but obviously you've got a color, and then you've got two squares and a color and two squares. So that's the way it gets represented when you are using lichess, which is basically the chess-based format, let's say. Now, let's go and have a look at the way a Scid versus PC does it. I've got a, so I can go backwards and forwards here. I've got a Scid running here on my Windows machine, so this is just standard Scid, nothing special about it. And first thing you notice is that you see the annotations in the PGN shows the annotations. In fact, maybe that's a feature I can switch on in lichess. I'll go and look later. And the thing to notice is that it's a longer formulation. Draw full is the meaning for the circle or square. I mean, there's actually, you can see this different. Full, I think, is a square and it's pale green, and then a circle is circle, and the disc is a filled in circle, and arrows, right? So you can see that use % draw and then there's a generic instruction, draw this for me, and then basically whatever you want. And you can see that different types of shapes, and then the new version of Scid actually put like a number 1.g1, whatever, and then it would be the same thing. And the colors, something like a Python, it's a TCL/TK color set, which is very similar to like a Python color set. You got lots and lots of colors, so you can do a lot of the things you want to do rather than just the 4 colors. And it's definitely good for my corresponding squares, which is part of the reason I use Scid versus PC for that. The other thing which is worth pointing out actually is your starting position. You can see that it's gone %CSL, green, red, yellow, blue. Scid versus PC can interpret, can't create that, but it can interpret the chess-based format, which is great, right? So it's sort of interchangeable. And the only shortcoming, I said, with it, from my perspective, is that you cannot have more than the 4 color set bolt onto the lichess, which allows more colors and all that sort of stuff. But pretty much that's the way it works, and that's why I'm trying to sort of have a workaround for that. Okay, so now we can see the 2 issues, the sort of the 2 formats we're looking at. And now what I want to be able to do is to be able to share my PGN files from Scid versus PC, put a lichess, and then so people can then export that into their Scid versus PC. So let's go on to that part. So just to be clear, I just want to show you what I'm trying to achieve. Here is my version of the Scid versus PC. Very clunky, doesn't work very well, but has colored squares with the numbers in them. You can see we have colored squares and some arrows. And what I want to be able to do is convert the PGN I create so that it can be used in the Scid 26, this new version, which has numbered squares, which is really great. And I've done that as well, getting numbered squares for that one, numbered squares for that one, and I'm using gold as something to mark the key squares. This one actually, this is what I stepped through when I did the video. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And what I want to do is use lichess as the middle point for able to share these specialized files. So that's where we're heading. And so this is where it gets a bit geeky at my end. You won't see this, but I just thought if anybody's doing something similar, they can have a look at it, right? So you have a look at the way I've got this % draw around with the .3 on the end, which means put a 3 in the square. The brown is color square, and the round, in this case, means a color square. Okay, fine. So what we need to do is we need to put the 3 at the front. It needs to be % draw 3, comma D3, comma brown, and that will be acceptable way the Scid version 26, which is the newer version I was running there, right? So basically that's what we have to do. And then I think arrows are fine. This is where we start using Scid. I mean, people have used Unix their whole life, know how to use Scid and awk and all that sort of stuff. I didn't get that far. I can use grep, so I learned quite a bit on Scid. Let's go into have a look at the little bit of code I wrote like this. Okay, so the first thing is this command here. If %draw $ is the end line marker, so it will finds %draw and a space and their end line, then it brings the next line together and gets rid of the end of line. So that stops %draws from being split over a new line character, which is very damn annoying. $1 is like I'm running this as a script, and then $1 and then it pipes it in. Got to do that several times because this command only works once per line, so that'll get rid of all the %draws on end of lines. And this is the thing. So if it's %draw key, and then you've got a square, I don't think the color matters, then we will substitute that for %draw full, which is what Scid takes, and then the square, which is the first bracketed character, and then the gold color, and you do it several times across the line if it goes off the line. And I pipe that next one where this is the normal one I've got, which is a % round with a square, then a color, then a dot, and then this one here /3 is the number. So then you substitute that with %draw, the number, the square, the color. Final thing I do is this command here, which takes %draw and makes it #%draw. Now the point about that is that sends the escape character in lichess or PGN format, and it just ignores the rest of the line or the angle bracket bit. Lichess will load it up. It'll be there as a horrible comment, so bear that in mind. And then I actually ran that then because I was just demonstrating there that I could actually do it, right? And so if you substitute back just %draw, then it works. I just demonstrated it works. Now, of course, you can't do that in Linux because you'll be probably in Windows using lichess, and you'll be using Scid 26 on Windows, so you've got to be able to somehow or other now. I will upload it to lichess, I have to show you very quickly how you can get it into the new version of Scid and it'll look good on the Windows version of Scid. Let's do that now. Okay, you can see I have copied it across into lichess, and I've called this corresponding squares for Scid, and then that's the chapter Fani, Alapin, Grigoriev, Lowcock. Okay, so that's all good. But what you will notice is that you can play through the lines and everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have exceptionally ugly comments. And you can see what's happened. This is the hash % draw to actually allow the comments to get loaded through lichess. So lichess, you can look at these studies and you can play them, and you can play against the computer. That's probably a good way of doing it if you really wanted to push yourself. And then now what I want to do is I want to get that out into Scid. So what we do is we copy it out. Let's show how you can do that. This is the share button. And we could copy the PGN out. Let's do that. Copy PGN, click that. And then let's now go over to Notepad. I have to bring that up. You can see there's the notepad. So I've copied it in there. It's actually all of the games. It's actually only one game. So we're going to have to do that differently. Just 1 second. Let's back to here. And what we'll do is we'll share and we will get a study PGN. And you can see that's, you can't see that, it's saved in my downloads. Right. So now we go back to Notepad and we will file. Here's the file. You can see it's got these horrible hash %. So this is where we need to do one more thing. We're going to do Control H, like you might do in Excel or Word. Hash %, replace with %, and then replace all. And that, and then save it. Okay, so now we have the PGN, and then now we need to fire up the Scid version 26. Okay, there we go. This is the first time I've run this. This is version 4.27 of Scid, so I haven't set it up particularly, but it's they've got a new version. I don't know if there's any new features, which I have to look into. They're always doing good stuff with Scid. So we just have to go File, Open, load it up, and let's have a look. You notice some of the other things, that there are these other tags which you don't normally see in PGNs, which are telling us about where this came from, lichess, whatever, and set up on. And then there's another tag here which lichess uses to remember if it's a study or one of the, or a sort of a computer training type puzzle. Anyway, so let's have a look how this goes. Numbers are there, some arrows. And so I think it's just demonstrations that we're going across, and then we go on to square mark 3. Black can't do that. Now it gets square mark 1. Black can do that. So 3, 4. This is kind of lost no matter whose turn it is, because you triangulate and you get in. So that is nice. That's the first one. Look at the Grigoriev one. I haven't cleaned these up because these were just the way I did them. And I think what I'm telling you is that maybe the 2 yellow squares are the key squares. I think that's what I determined. This one doesn't have any lines. You can see that, but that's fine. And the third one is the Lowcock one, where I think it's actually not the right starting position. I was just doing it to demonstrate where all the key squares were, and you can see that that comes up with that. Right, okay, so what I might do now is I will spend, I'm not going to do it all in one go. I've just got 50 studies. I'll probably try and work out whether to which lines to put in, but particularly to when it fires up to have the corresponding squares is probably kind of what I want to try and do with these things. And I guess there's sort of, you know, some artistic thing to think about, whether do we need colored numbers, or all the numbers should be the same color, all that sort of thing. And then you'll start to see a lot of these ones I did get from, you know, all these classic books I've been referring to, whether it was the Keras one or the Muller one or the Spielman one, or some of the stuff you see in Averbach. I've just been trying to sort of understand their studies in this fashion. Okay, a bit unusual this one today. You may or may not have found that useful, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.